let's finally get to Space Jam: A New Legacy. When LeBron and his young son Dom are trapped in a digital space by a rogue AI, LeBron must get them home safe by leading Bucks, Loda Bunny, and a whole gang of notoriously undisciplined Looney Tunes to victory over the AI's digitalized champions on the court. It's Tunes versus Goons in the highest stakes challenge of his life. All right. Yeah. Space Jam: A New Legacy currently sits at pretty bad ratings overall. On Letterboxd, it's a 2.1 out of 5. On IMDb, a 4.3 out of 10, and on Metacritic, a 37. So, Lachlan, what did you think of Space Jam: A New Legacy?
I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. There's my review.
Right. Okay. I like that. Pretty simple. We're gonna go into spoilers actually pretty soon because I don't think there's much to spoil about a movie that is obviously, like, it's really obvious where it's going. So there's no point in withholding any sort of information here. I would say that I'm maybe a bit more nihilistic when I look at this because I'm just thinking, oh, this just feels like it's a plug for the studio itself. It's not a vision. There's no real vision behind it. So I also went in not expecting anything at all. And that's basically what it delivered. Additionally, it had some terrible performances and a script that made my ears hurt. I gotta say, whatever they put out another line. But let's just get into spoilers right away, Lachlan. So could you tell us the full story of Space Jam 2?
Alternative title: LeBron James into the Warnerverse.
I like that.
LeBron James gets a Game Boy from his friend and then loses it from his coach that tells him he'll never be good unless he tries really hard, and then he hates video games forever because he gets a lot of money from being good at basketball, and then has a son and the son wants to be a video game designer, and of course he's like, nah, fuck that, you're gonna play basketball and make money. Fast forward to being at Warner Brothers Studios, to being pitched an idea for something. He says no and is sucked in to a Warner Brothers server's glory hole and is in the Warnerverse. Can you please put some like really inspirational music behind me when I do this?
Right, yeah, I will.
Sweet, thanks. Stuck in the Warnerverse, LeBron must forge together a team of basketball players to verse the Goon Squad and win back his freedom and his son, who was also sucked into the glory... Sorry, I forgot that. The son was also sucked into the glory hole into the Warnerverse, and now he was sucked into the glory hole of the Warnerverse, and now LeBron James must beat Don Cheadle, who wasn't... Sorry, it's Don Cheadle's glory hole into the Warnerverse that he sucked LeBron James and his son into the Warnerverse.
Lots of sucking in the story.
And you've got and LeBron James has to beat down Don Cheadle at basketball, which doesn't sound very hard on paper, right? But Don Cheadle is fucking Don Cheadle. You know what I mean?
Don Cheadle is kind of Don Cheadle, if you know what I'm saying.
Cheat tool, yeah. Get it?
Yeah,
know what I mean? Know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Again, heavy inspiration music behind me, Ewan. LeBron James ends up meeting Bugs Bunny, right? Now, Bugs Bunny isn't sucked into the glory hole, Don Cheadle's glory hole. He was already in the Warnerverse, right? So the server, the Warnerverse server is all of the Warner Brothers IPs in one hard drive, one hard disk drive.
Right, yeah.
And LeBron James is going through that, and coincidentally, out of all of the intellectual properties that he could land on, he lands on Looney Tunes World, Toon
Right,
World.
yeah.
And Bugs Bunny is Shutter Islanding himself on that Tunes World, believing a reality that's not real, and he decides to agree to help LeBron James build a basketball team to take down the glory-sucking hole of Don Cheadle and save not only him and his son, but also all of the people that Don Cheadle glory holed into the Warnerverse. Thank you. That's the end of the... Can you edit that together to make it sound way better than I actually fucking did it?
It's got to have a lot of inspirational music, a lot of strings in the background. crescendo, decrescendo, and other
Thank you.
music terms that I don't know. It's gonna be very, very
Good.
inspirational.
Good.
But yeah, that is, I guess, kind of the story of Space Jam.
Kind
Which
of.
is
See.
no, actually you nailed it. I'm sorry that I said that.
Thank you.
You nailed it. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I thought I think it's interesting that you touched on the gaming thing. at the
Glory
beginning.
hole.
It's like and glory holes, yes. But it's like LeBron touches a Game Boy, gets told off, misses a shot, which leads to him not really actively being against his son's dreams of becoming a game developer. By the way, if you code a game like that at 12, I don't know the crazy expectations that parents put on you, but that is crazy. If you do that by 12, it feels weird that like the message at the end of the day that the movie, I know this is a fucking silly dumb movie, but at the end of the day there's values that are conveyed here. And it's like you have a son as LeBron that is successful at one thing. He doesn't want to do the other thing. So it feels less like at the end when the dad is like, LeBron is like, oh, I'll let you do the thing that you're already really, really fucking good at and they're gonna be successful in. It doesn't really feel like there's a lot of yo, I accept you as my son and I'm supporting you in a sense. It's more, I guess this can also be something that you're good at and cool. I would just had no interest in you. It feels empty, and I'm kind of lacking the words to even describe what this movie does because like that's just what it is. It's really empty, although it is filled with a bunch of IP. You know, you could probably pause the screen during the game, and you'd see. I saw the Mask was there, a bunch of DC characters. Like they even show up at one point, right? They have that whole cameo-esque showcase of all the different big IPs from Warner Brothers while they kind of get all the loonies together. I didn't know that Mad Max was in the IP of Warner Brothers, so that was a bit surprising.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, yeah, that's sick. But yeah, I assume when you said that it wasn't bad, it wasn't good, right? Or you had fun with it?
Yeah, that's what I said.
I just assumed that that the parts that you did enjoy was just the end at the end of the game, right? The really crazy shenanigans when they use all the powers, and I think that's why the movie is the strongest, right? And it's just got to get to that point to get to that like really fun game, and in between we have the characters, I guess, being fun as well, but that didn't really work. But I think the game was at least fun to watch.
Yeah, no, I think there's a number of things in the film that I just don't enjoy. And I'm not a big basketball fan. I do enjoy watching the NBA here and there, and I do enjoy playing basketball. I'm not going to throw myself in, know every player from every single seasons, etc., etc., etc. Right? I like the sport. I think it's a great sport. I think it's fun. I know some of the top players' names. Good to go. Would I say that that's going to affect my opinion on this movie? More or less. But I still enjoy the first Space Jam. I still enjoy the first Space Jam, even though I'm not a heavy basketball player. This movie doesn't seem to have a reason to exist.
Yeah,
that's my
I
issue
agree,
with the film.
Yeah,
my
for
issue with the
sure.
film is that there's no reason for this movie to exist. Like, it's basically, like, why does... So the original Space Jam was Looney Tunes. That's it. Why not leave it at Looney Tunes? Why have to bring all of the Warner IPs together? And this is where I came to an understanding of what's going to be happening over the next decade, I reckon. Companies know people want to see certain IPs go up against certain IPs. The Avengers did a great job bringing it together, and people saw that they wanted to... They don't want standalone films anymore. They want, connected fucking everything, right?
Yeah.
So why can't I see Bugs Bunny and Superman go at it? Why can't I see fucking Roadrunner run through Mad Max's world, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because certain things shouldn't go together. Now, granted, I actually enjoyed that Mad Max scene. I thought it was kind of funny. I think I enjoyed the scenes where they put the Looney Tunes into
Just on top of
other
the
movies.
film, right?
And the reason behind that is I enjoy Looney Tunes. I think it's really funny. So that entire montage of the Looney Tunes in very popular movies, The Matrix, Mad Max, all of these movies I found really, really enjoyable. And I was like, this is the part that I really enjoyed. I don't know, the movie seems a bit forced upon the reason. It doesn't seem to kind of. It's not like Space Jam 2. It's kind of like they ignored the original. That Michael B.
Yeah.
Jordan joke was a flop to me because I really would have liked to see
That
Michael
was-
Jordan.
That was pretty much the only joke I laughed at. Because
Oh,
of what he
right.
was so bad. He was like so dumb. It's like, okay, I guess that's kind of funny. I love Michael B. Jordan, so he
Yeah.
can't do any wrong for me, even if it's with a terrible script and everything. But I thought that was a bit funny. It's like, I don't know, just get him in for a quick cameo. Like even the first one, I think, was forced in the way that it tried to have a narrative where it gets the Looney Tunes and Michael Jordan together and they play a game of basketball. It just has to be because it doesn't make any sense. But it feels like Warner Brothers is just trying like to showcase their brand as much as they can, and that takes away from a really dumb fun movie that isn't concerned with having like good performances. It's just fun.
Here's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
How much is too much?
Ready Player One. I think Ready Player One is a good showcase of it being a bit too much, you know, and
Because I feel
all the
like,
stuff
yeah,
that's
I was going to say,
referencing.
Ready Player One could tone it back a little bit and it would be, a bit less focused on look at what we've got to show.
I think
and
actually
more
Marvel
focused
does
on
it
the
great.
story. Marvel
you know?
is probably going to do it the best in terms of showing off. I mean, even actually, yeah, no, including Endgame when having everyone, right? It was a lot, but it made sense. It was cohesive. They're taking their time with it where Warner Brothers kind of just rushed everything into this movie. Again, another kind of verse movie, and I made a joke about it, Spider-Verse. It's not 20,000 different Spider-Mans, right?
Yeah.
It's a select 5, 6, 7 of them, and that's it. It's sweet. It's short, sweet. It's like, cool, the universe is diverse, and we've got these core ones, and that's interesting because you're then attached to those characters where I'm not attached. And this is probably one of my biggest downsides. I like the Looney Tunes, and I grew up on a lot of their cartoons, and that's why I was kind of excited for it, which is kind of why I get a bit excited for Space Jam, where I was like, again, I didn't love the first one, but I like it because it's Looney Tunes, because it's more, it's more based on the live action side of it. I prefer just the comedic cartoon side of it. When Bugs Bunny was like, I'm all alone, I thought we're going to have this like buddy cop story where it's LeBron James and Bugs Bunny going around finding the tunes in different scenarios, but it was a quick montage. That's all it was.
Yeah.
If they expanded that story out and gave us depth to each of those little characters, I don't mean by much. I mean, it's a 2-hour long run. It's a 2-hour long movie, right? Then you wouldn't have this relationship between LeBron James and the kid. No one asked for this though. No one asked for that story. We want the story between. We want fun. We don't come to Space Jam to care about the story, right? We came to Space Jam for the fun, for the basketball. So cut out. So okay, Ewan, I'm pitching you. Okay, you're Steven Yeun. All right, you're the Warner Brother executive. Okay.
I love to be Steven Yeun.
Okay.
A better Ewan in a sense.
All right.
Right.
So here's my Space Jam 2 pitch. Okay.
Yeah.
Scrap all of the kid shit. Fuck it. Fuck them.
Uh-huh.
Right. Fuck off E3. No one cares. Just show me your trailers and fuck off. All I want. Okay. LeBron James is playing basketball. Right. Top of his career. He's asked by Warner Brothers to do a movie, right? He, it kind of get meta. No, I'm not an actor, blah, 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 fuck it, da, da, da. And he stumbles upon the server room where he sees, a bunch of, cartoon arrows pointing him in, right? Because again, Space Jam 1, the tunes could just walk out, right? It wasn't a server. They could just walk out into the real world and they got Michael Jordan stuff, right? In this one, though, they're stuck there. I mean, except for the end. Goes in, he gets trapped. They were trying to find someone, they were trying to get someone other than him, but, they're stuck with him. It's like, oh, what a coincidence, another basketballer. And him and Bugs Bunny have to go and find all of the Looney Tunes characters to build together the basketball team, right? Because there's a big bad who's hiding all the tunes, right? And, maybe it's not like it's about, like maybe it's not necessarily, they don't say basketball team at the start, but right at the end, it's like, oh, we challenge you to basketball. And it's like, well, these guys don't know how to play basketball. And they're like, well, we play basketball with Michael Jordan. And then Michael Jordan appears, right? So it's like, you don't have to have this whole training session because you've gone on this buddy cop adventure. Everyone knows they can play basketball because they've seen Space Jam 1.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's basically Space Jam reboot. It's not Space Jam 2, A New Legacy. Are we calling this a sequel or are we calling this a reboot? Because if we're calling this a reboot, then
I
ignore
think
what
it's
I've
a
just
sequel.
said.
Yeah, I think it is a sequel. I have a note, just one note, because I think in the Austin Powers scene, instead of having the mini me joke, which was kind of lame, we could have had one of those intro scenes where he's naked and there's
Yeah.
always something covering it, and at the end
Yeah.
we just get the grandma and he looks at Austin Powers' dick and she's like, "Oh my god!" and she drop kicks him or something like
Jesus
that.
Christ.
I don't know. I think they missed out on the cool references that are really funny and smart and cool by having Rick and Morty and not have Pickle Rick.
Oh my
Pickle
god,
Rick
yeah, I
my
had Rick and,
favorite.
man, there was a number of things that they pulled out, and I was like, how the fuck did they like Rick and Morty? Like
Yeah, I didn't know that was Warner Bros. Yeah, they didn't really show much of Game of Thrones, but that one had. I mean, everything on HBO Max, I guess, is part of Warner as well. And I think the Mad Max scene was the most enjoyable. But I do agree. You know, if listening to your pitch, that expanding on a buddy cop storyline, dropping all the LeBron is a bad dad and his all the son part, all the whole storyline from the son was not really that impactful for a film that is just about a silly basketball game. You don't really need that, but I think it is so streamlined at this point that you need an emotional narrative core at the center of a film. It's either a romance or it has something to do with like a father-son, father-daughter, mother-daughter, whatever relationship like that. That you just need to do it. And this whole movie feels like, oh, we have these characters. We need to include them. They need to be in the background. We need to have a bad training day reference where King Kong ain't shit on me or something like that. And then we have King Kong in the back, like, ha ha ha. That's funny. It's just real lazy. Like they even have a joke when he like falls down the ravine with Bugs Bunny and he's like all like cocooned up into a ball and he says, "Oh no, I'm shorter than Kevin Hart." It's like it's a perfect representation of this movie. It is the lamest and the laziest joke you could make, and they do it, and that just gets repeated, unfortunately, for a lot of the characters. But I think the best parts of the film were all the stuff involving the Looney Tunes. But let's touch on something that is not related to the plot overall. I just wanted to get your thoughts on the look of the film, on the visuals, on the animation style from the 2D switch to the 3D. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Again, I haven't really said this yet. I think this entire movie was made just to bring Space Jam into the 21st century. Make it about video games, make it about blah, 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 making the animation 2D to 3D. So they had to just make everything new. And
is that sorry to interrupt you, but is there a Looney Tunes show that they are about to do now, and like a reason for them to promote this now again? Are they rebooting something there or not?
Wouldn't know.
Yeah, again, pretty pointless film then. It's not even to promote. It feels like a promotion to something else. But I guess it isn't.
But yeah, no, I mean, sure, it went 2D to 3D for a bit there. I totally don't mind, honestly. I can see a lot of people being extra mad that Lola Bunny wasn't the same when she became
Extra
3D
thick.
as well.
I
we
guess.
just gotta, everyone just has to stop sexualizing Lola Bunny. Anyway, yeah, no, look, I enjoyed going 3D because it just made more sense in a way. It kind of flowed with where the rest of the film went because I guess that's where the film wanted to go. Yeah, I don't really have much feelings.
Do you think it I guess to put it in other words, do you think this looked like $150 million film?
It cost $150 million.
Yep. Yep. And like, look, to get my point across.
How much? How much was the budget of The Irishman?
I think it was like 165 around there, something like that. But my point was that like the character animations were great, but I think a lot of the background stuff looked really generic, like the whole courts and all that. And maybe it's just like how it wants to look really digital and really slick and clean. And I guess the first Space Jam, I mean, still being shot on film, right? And stuff like that. It has a different look. And I don't know, maybe that just rubs me the wrong way a bit. It just looks a bit icky. I don't know. It felt wrong. But I can't really put my finger on why I didn't like a lot of the background stuff. But the character models were great. Like also the switch from 2D to 3D, I thought worked really well. And yeah, let's not sexualize a bunny. That's good with me as well.
So The Irishman had a $159 million budget, and that movie de-aged, Al
Robert
Pacino, De Niro,
yeah. Joe Pesci.
the big boys.
The big boys. Yeah. Yeah, and the interesting part here is as well that it has a day-and-day release for for a month. It's on HBO Max, right? And apparently, it's what the numbers, what Warner has said so far, or HBO has said so far, that if a movie does well in cinemas, it also does well on the service. If it doesn't do well, like for example In the Heights, it's also not doing well on the streaming service, right? And I think over the weekend, Space Jam made about 32 million at the box office. So that's not terrible, especially for an opening like close after pandemic, right? And I think it grossed about 54 million by now at the point of today's recording. But that's still really short of 150 million. A movie that expensive has to do really, really well for it to be worth for them. But yeah. Do you think we'll see another outing in the Space Jam universe? Or you think they're gonna wrap it up here?
Not anytime soon.
Yeah, I guess right. You gotta need another GOAT at basketball, unless they switch to a different sport.
100% you do.
And again, like for this movie, there's no real reason to have a movie like this exist. Like it's reflected in even fans of probably the original giving this movie a really low rating, that people do not like this film. It maybe has a similar issue to what F9 has, where it has a semi-serious plot and themes of like how to parent your child. Not really like obviously taking seriously in a dramatic way. It's just to create conflict for the plot, right? But it still has those themes a bit. And then it has the really silly stuff with the Looney Tunes and ignoring all the reference stuff. It has a kind of a weak story that is then even further hindered by a script that is so terrible to see unfold. And it's definitely not aided that like LeBron, obviously these are athletes, they're not actors, but he's really not good at his line readings. I was like, oh, do you want to try that one again? A lot of the times I was like, let's just, maybe, do you guys want to do that one again? It just did not hit at all the way that it tended to. And I think that there's a way to write for athletes. I think Uncut Gems does it great with Kevin Garnett. It's a totally different movie, of course, and he plays himself in a different way, where he's not in a different Looney Tune world and all these different shenanigans are going on, but it works well in there. Maybe he's also a bit of a better actor. But yeah, Lachlan, I guess let's wrap this review up and share our reviews. So where did you land on as a rating for Space Jam: A New Legacy?
Okay, well, I gave it a 1.5 out of 5.
Yeah, and I landed at a 1 out of 5. It's hard to recommend this one to anyone, even fans of Space Jam, the original one. There's not much that this expands on. If you're really fans of the Looney Tunes and I guess you want something new from them, it can be pretty fun. But apart from really a young audience that doesn't really care what's happening as long as it's colorful and lots of action is happening, I think you're not going to find a lot of enjoyment out of this film, even if you lay back and just not take it seriously.